Hi, I'm Mike Peel with SPTechCon, and I'm here today with Mike Fitzmaurice of Nintex. He's the VP of Product Technology over there, and we're here to
Hi,
talk.
everyone.
Oh, hello, and we're here to talk about SharePoint today. What do you see in the future of SharePoint coming up 2015 and even 2016 into the future? What is your projection?
My projection is that SharePoint is going to play a big role, but it depends a lot on how you define the word SharePoint. If you're talking about SharePoint Server, I think it still has a very bright future on premise for another release or two, and depending on what the market wants, Microsoft's likely to listen. SharePoint Online, however, is where I think things are getting really interesting because essentially what you're seeing happen in Office 365 is a whole focus not so much on server products lifted up into the cloud, but instead on taking all those different pieces of value and putting them together into an integrated whole. So if you're working with Office 365, look, every little piece of SharePoint is there. However, the lines blur, and sometimes you're in services provided by Exchange, sometimes services provided by Link, sometimes services provided by Project, other times services provided by SharePoint. And if you don't notice the boundaries, that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's perfectly desirable to almost everyone but the people who operate servers. And in the cloud, that's Microsoft, not you, so why do you care?
Is Office 365 taking away some use cases for SharePoint for smaller businesses, or is SharePoint still important to businesses of all sizes?
Yes, SharePoint is still for businesses of all sizes. I think what you're seeing is not so much a question of organizational size, but organizational priorities. Maybe organizational complexity, but I think that'll go away as Office 365 gets to be more sophisticated. I think here's what's going on. Microsoft is offering you a specific set of services with Office 365, and it will perform those services really, really well with high uptime, with high reliability, with high functionality. They are, in fact, removing things that make it, shall we say, customizable, skinnable within a reason, but some customization is branding. Some customization is effectively destabilization. They don't want that. And I'm somewhat sympathetic to that. So, in other words, do allow you a certain degree of service, in fact, a high degree of service, but a well-known, a well-packaged, a well-understood set of service. And if that fits your needs, use Office 365. I don't think it's dumbed down at all. I don't think it's optimized towards small organizations. I actually think it's optimized towards a fixed degree of services that are actually pretty darn valuable. But yes, if you came to the table wanting something specific and you want to use SharePoint to help build it, yeah, you're probably going to still invest in servers, whether you deploy them in your data center or deploy in virtual machines in the cloud. But if what the Office service provides is valuable, why wouldn't you just pay for it on a subscription basis? And that's what everyone else in Cloudland is doing. So this is actually SharePoint being used for more things than it ever was before. It's not a reduction in features, it's actually an expansion.
Okay, so there's been a lot of emphasis on the cloud lately.
Sure.
A lot of people have security concerns with the cloud. Would you address those if you were speaking with a client? Like, is the cloud for everybody? Do they need to split up and divide which part of their business is going to be accessible online and which isn't?
I think everyone has to split what's going to be online, what's going to be on premise, and security plays a role in that. But I think security makes sense to be observed as a cost benefit equation more than anything else. What's the risk of loss if we lose this? Well, that's how much we have to pay to prevent that from happening, and so on and so forth. Security is not an absolute. And what's more, look, Whether you think the man was a traitor or a patriot, Edward Snowden was able to get a whole bunch of stuff from the NSA, and it didn't involve using the cloud. There are plenty of security weak links that are out there that have nothing to do with cloud technology. In fact, the fact that you're hosting your stuff in the cloud might actually make you more security conscious than you would have been. I know so many SharePoint deployments where all authenticated users has access to every document in every site, in every collection, in every web app.
So everybody has administrator privileges, and that's why everything's vulnerable.
Not so much administrator privileges. People tend to think about that. What they don't tend to think about is the fact that I can see your documents in your My Site. Maybe not your My Site, but definitely the team sites you collaborate on with people that aren't me.
What services does your company provide that can ease the transition to a SharePoint installation or tailor SharePoint to a specific organization?
Nintex is all about elevating SharePoint sites from places where people put work into places where they do work. And what I mean by that is it's a no-brainer to store documents in SharePoint sites. At a certain point, people might realize that they want to put more than just documents in those sites. They might want to display information from other places in those sites. But where we think real magic happens is when people take the things being put or displayed in sites and make them do work for themselves. So automate a document review process, automate the publishing of the contents of that document in your public-facing blog, or announce things in social media, or fetch data from third-party data services, incorporate that into, or do employee onboarding and automate some of SharePoint's behavior and the rest of your administrative stack. So when someone comes online at your organization, they've got everything they need on day one, or assemble documents based on rules and templates and input from users and such. It's a long, long list. Almost everyone has a use case for workflow, which by us, we mean a combination of three things: people, process, and content. The people being the user interface, forms and such. The process being in SharePoint, the terms are kind of muddled together, workflow and process at the same time, but the actual do this, then do that, then make this decision, then do that. Content is connectivity to applications, to data, to documents, to video, to just about everything else.
Great. So this isn't your first SPTechCon. Why did you decide to come back and join us on the exhibit hall?
It's not a decision to come back. We've been at, I think, just about every SPTechCon since I joined Nintex 7 years ago. Indeed. In fact, well, not only has Nintex exhibited at SPTechCon for a long time, I've spoken at a number of SPTechCons, and for that matter, I was attending or speaking at SPTechCons back when I worked at Microsoft.
Is there any special thing you're going to be demonstrating?
We'll be, as always, demonstrating the entire Nintex stack. What we'll typically do is show people how easy it is to build applications in front of their eyes. We'll show a variety of different use cases, the types of processes that can be automated, and pretty much as always, we'll show you the different ways you can interact with a process on your mobile device, in email and social media channels, in Link, or if you prefer, just looking at SharePoint lists.
All right, so real hands-on experience. Sounds great.
Our products demo well, our people demo well, and we think there's a whole lot of value in people actually seeing and touching what we do, as opposed to us just telling you what our product attributes are. We'd rather you believe your own eyes as opposed to our words.
All right, well, it was nice talking with you today, Mike. I'm excited
Likewise.
to see you at SPTechCon.
I look forward to it. This is a great conference, by the way. This is, I love the focus on practicality. It's always a really nice deal. I mean, other conferences have other spirits and purposes and agendas, and that's fine. You guys seem to be focused a lot on practitioners and what's happening in the here and now. And think your audience appreciates it. It's certainly why we go to sponsor it.
Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you at SPTechCon.